What I'm now seeing though is the customer experience is becoming more important.
We're finding as well that giving first home buyers access to such a premium resources is unique.
How we doing? It's Yada Podcast time. We are here to educate, entertain, and lift the lid. My name is Russ, and on the left I got my boy Aldo Katoldi. On the right I've got Mr. Charles Liddell. It's another Yada Podcast. Keep it locked.
First podcast for the year. Welcome, Damyn. It's been a little while since we've had you in. What do you think of the changes that we've made?
Outstanding, officer. From the moment you walk in, the entry, the cafe, the facilities you have for customers and staff are outstanding. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
And thanks for having me in, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's always good to get you in. I think the guys really enjoy it because I think your background being in sales, I think you kind of appreciate the slog that they're going through and the challenges that they face. So it's always nice to have someone that sort of has that perspective, where you kind of been there and done that, which is quite unique for for the kind of insight that you do share. So we do always value your input and support it's great to have you on board. I guess one of the things I'd like to sort of push into is one of the challenges that we see for clients is cost-effective land. We look after a lot of first home buyers and also investors as well. And the challenge that we find is that the land's getting smaller, it's getting more expensive, and the horizons in regards to when the land's starting to come available is sort of seems to be getting pushed out. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, okay. I think in terms of the cost of land at a macro scale, WA is still attractive.
100%, yeah.
I think sometimes what we don't reflect on in WA is everyone goes around and goes, well, it's becoming more expensive. But I think over the last couple of years, these times we've been through, what hasn't become more expensive?
Yeah, fair question.
Yeah, and I don't think it's because developers are necessarily, just trying to get more and more revenue. Like any industry, their costs have gone up. Whilst there's been some price growth, it hasn't been extraordinary price growth.
Well, look at sand. Like over the last sort of 4 years, it's just gone through the roof.
Exactly right. I mean, it's every industry, whether it be
exactly.
anything.
Yeah.
So I think people just got to go back to looking at WA as a whole. Very strong economy, and that's part of the reason we're seeing so many investors from over east.
Which is what I was going to say. Is like we sort of touched on because we've got a lot of buyers agents coming out and tapping us on the shoulders, and it's still a very very attractive point here for investors. I mean, a basic house and land package here netting a 6 or 7% yield, compared to anything on the East Coast, they're happy with anything over 3%. So it's a very attractive market, but it shows that it's very competitive out there, which sort of then brings me to the next question I've got. Because you manage so many developments, and it's a very unique portfolio that you do have, which is great because we've got one point of contact, which gives us a nice spread over the whole sort of metro area. You get to deal with all the builders.
Yes.
All the builders. And I think, from my perspective and from Yada's perspective, we've always tried to make our position a little bit unique in that we try to focus on the client, which sort of brings me to the question is, like, what's your observation in regards to, we won't name any names, so we're all safe. We're safe here. If we do, we'll bleep it out. But how important the sales representative is, and also the business that particularly first home buyers decide to go with.
It's a fair question, and look, part of that is we remain impartial. We have good relationships with a lot of builders. The first thing I'd say is, what I'm now seeing, though, is the customer experience is becoming more important as part of that. So when I say, for example, a brickie's a brickie, they're not, because there's varying level of, skill in terms of different trades, just like there is whether it be salespeople or sports people. But in terms of a house and a house design, I've always said, how many different ways can you actually put a 3 or 4 bedroom house together? To tell the difference would be
very hard.
Would be very hard.
Yeah.
So what we generally say to customers is, what's your experience been like with the sales rep? That's probably the first one.
Yeah.
And then what's your experience been like with the company from the moment you've met them until you get into the purchase decision.
Yeah.
Because I think customers now are more educated. They spend a lot of time researching, not just builders, but even on the land side. They spend a lot of time researching. They've got to feel comfortable that their builder sales rep is doing everything possible to make it the best experience for them.
Yeah. We're finding as well that a lot of the clients have spent a lot of time, and we're not always the first port of call. And you know, why we set up, you know, our experience, because we're backed by two of, you know, Perth's most renowned builders. You know, giving first home buyers access to such a premium resources is unique, but yeah, it's right. I mean, it's the same with any industry. I mean, you know, baking a cake. You know, I can go bake a cake, or you can go to Coco's and go get a cake. They're two different things. You know, it's you know, completely different. But it is encouraging, you know, to know that you know, what we're doing here is you know, on par with, you know, what your expectations is, and it'd be fair to say, like, for those of you who don't know Damyn, he has done sales before, so and he has built with one of the big project builders as well, and so, you know, he's definitely been around the trap. So
and on that point, I try not to. I think the days of selling too hard are gone.
Definitely,
I try not to. Okay, yes, there's an element of sales in a lot of occupations, particularly being a builder sales rep, but I think the days of the hard sell are gone. And then when we speak to customers, you generally ask them the question, if they're saying, you know, not sure which builder to go through, which one do you trust the most?
Yeah.
And follow your gut. It's not for us to give recommendations, because we can't control the builder, but generally say, okay, which rep do you trust the most?
Yep.
And what's your gut feeling telling you about the builder and the rep? And that's why
that's all you can really go
that's
on.
just life. That's just
is.
life as well. Like, even talking to my kids, you know, when they got to make a decision, follow your
You got to
gut.
trust yourself. You got to trust yourself. And this is one of the things that we try to make sure that everyone that we embrace in the business is that, you know, yes, there's an element of, as you've said, sales, and there's a commercial aspect of what we're trying to do here. But at the end of the day, the client is going to be ready when the client's ready. You know, we can't adopt, you know, the car salesman mentality where, okay, it's end of month, you know, here's the briefcase close, you know, tell them the prices are going to go up and all of that. It's just, you know, it's not right when someone's buying a home. So, you know, one of the things that we generally believe in is that the client will choose us for the right reasons, because, you know, we're pretty transparent, but not only that, they will come to their own decision at their own time, at their own pace. You can't force that, because if you do, you know, you're going to have things of, you know, regret, or, you know, they're going to question things, and, you know, they're not ready. So, you know, like with anything, you know, they have to be ready. It's their choice.
And the key word I've just picked up there, what you're alluding to with Yatta Homes, is transparency.
Yes.
I think we're in a day and age now, transparency is key.
Yep.
Because whether it be our business, another industry, if you're not being transparent, what are you hiding?
Yes. Someone who sits in front of you and goes, "Oh, it's all going to be perfect. There's none of your problems." And, you know, especially when you're building a house, it's you're
just be transparent. Tell the truth, because that's, you know, I'm old and cynical now, but we tell the truth, and, you know, be as transparent as we can be.
Well,
and that's what works. That's what customers engage with. That's what, you know, our business partners engage with. It's just the way to go in my mind.
Well, and it makes it easy to deal with if you're not trying to hide anything, because it's out there. So it's like you make the decision on the facts that you've got, and it's as simple as that.
What have you got to hide? I mean, that's I don't know.
Correct.
What have I got to hide?
No.
What has the business got to hide? Yeah, just tell the truth, be transparent. I think customers will engage with you more. Yeah,
I agree. Two questions for you before we finish up. First is, what's the latter part of the year? I mean, I know we're early in the year. Believe it, we're end of February. I can't believe that we're end of February and it's our first podcast, which is a bit embarrassing. But what's your, I guess, your predictions or your view for for the industry, you know, looking towards the end of the year?
Look, I'm a conservative person by nature, but I'm really positive. Okay, I understand a lot of people going through tough times. Cost of living is affecting everyone. And it is. And I know there's probably going to be another few interest rate rises, which is just going to increase that pressure. But I think if you take a step back and look at it, WA market rental vacancy rate is at all-time lows.
Crazy, yeah.
This established market is still moving fairly well.
Yeah.
Whilst I don't see massive price growth, I do see consistent turnover and consistent demand. And I think new house and land won't be any different, because while I've got the underlying pressure of the rental vacancy rate, this state, well, not only this state, a lot of Australia needs more homes for the population we have. So I actually can't see demand slowing down. Yes, it's going to be. Yes, there's going to be cost pressures. Yes, it's going to be probably a little bit harder for people to get into their own home.
Yeah.
But I just can't see demand slowing. Yes, we're going through a tough period, as most of the world is, in terms of, macroeconomics, and it's now flowing down to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. But I just think in Australia we're in a better position once these interest rate rises flow through. I actually think second half of the year you're going to see another kick in demand. Everything else is suggesting we need more houses, and people still want them.
Well, that's it. We've got natural attrition here that is, we're unable to service, which is, basic maths. You got people, affordability, they're having to consider moving here, not only for the job opportunities, but also, the lifestyle and the cost of living is a lot more attractive here as well. So, I resonate what you say. I think it's very much on that. But the other thing I quite enjoy hearing from what you told the guys before is that is definitely feedback to the developers to come back with some really cost effective products. So to know that we've got land that is now sort of 200 and sub 200. Making that a lot more accessible for first home buyers is again allowing us to compensate for those those downward pressures that we're having on the finance aspect of things. So it's encouraging that we've got such a great portfolio, and the outlook is pretty strong. So I think it's going to be a good year. I'm looking forward to it as well, and obviously hopefully we'll be able to do a lot more work together, which is exciting. And then the final question I'll leave you with is. Side hustles.
Yeah.
Do you have a side hustle? Natural salesman, so I'm assuming there might be a little bit.
My side hustle is not related to earning an income, my side hustle is kids' sport.
That's fair enough.
Unfortunately, with my kids at their age and they love sport and other things, I would spend every day. And then 1.5 days on the weekend would be my kids' sport.
Yeah.
And look, I'm comfortable with that.
Yep.
Do I have interest in other things? Of course I do.
Yep.
But in terms of where my time's spent, because as you know, this is a 24/7
It
job.
is, yeah.
Any spare time I get towards the family and the kids.
Yeah.
And
so if there was
sport.
something that you could do that would earn you something, what would it be outside of your primary job?
Look, if you asked me to go back to when I was finishing school or at university and what would I maybe have a crack at doing? I would love to have been a sports commentator.
Really?
Yes.
Awesome.
So that would have, Well, I would have loved to be a sports person, albeit that didn't happen. So next best sports commentator, because I watch,
we might need to have to tap you on the shoulder here for some voiceovers and cameo appearances. What do you reckon, Sam? I reckon we've got some hidden talent over here that we might have to.
I watch all the mainstream sports, but I got friends who take the mickey out of me. I watch darts, I watch snooker.
Awesome.
That's in addition to your cricket, your footies, your rugbies, your everything else.
Anything
Anything sport, mate. My wife hates Fox Sports because I love it. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Awesome. But thank you very much for coming in and sharing your thoughts. And obviously, again, thank you for supporting us and the team. We'd look forward to getting you back in again pretty soon, and obviously you've got some exciting projects that are coming up, which you'll share through the platform, and hopefully we'll be able to get you back in and talk more about them.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate you inviting me in. And I suggest anyone out there come and have a look at the premises here, because it's something pretty special.
Awesome. Thanks, Damyn.